Hey everybody, me at least one last time. Um, this time I'm gonna try to talk about compare the two flutes that I've got my hands on today right now. Um, so here's Mr. Pepper's flute again, the one that we based off our design off of. It, like as before, works just fine. Like not a problem. Really, it's actually not a bad tone. I really like how it sounds. It's supposed to sound like that. And then you got my flute, which sounds like I just, learned how to. Uh, it sounds like crap. So obviously there's some differences in between the two flutes. The first really big one I noticed was actually, well, okay, the first thing that's different is the length. My flute's a little bit longer. All that's supposed to do is change the initial pitch. So when you push down 6 holes, that's a D, give or take. That's the tonic pitch. Even if you're not covering the 7th hole, the 7th hole is just to just to help. Let's see what else. The next big one is actually thickness. If you take a look at how thick these things are, mine's thinner by actually a decent amount, and I think that was actually key in making a good sound. Was having this have a bigger reverberating chamber, like this big black area, before the first note maybe. Because it's bigger, but the walls are roughly the same size as on mine, there's more room for the air to actually vibrate. And although our holes were the same size, give or take a couple of millimeters, the math behind the holes is all wrong. On this one, the hole is only about 50% of the diameter, give or take, of the actual flute. Whereas on this one, it's like almost 80% or so. It's incredibly large, and I'm thinking that had something to do with it too. If I cut the hole a bit smaller, maybe that would have helped. But then that brings me to the next thing. That brings me back to the thickness of the bamboo. I'm thinking that the bamboo that we used was actually maybe just, it was too thin. I know that Nick's flute actually split when he tried to make the inside of it wider and bigger in order to make a sound, and I'm guessing it worked because apparently he doesn't need Mr. Pepper's flute to show off what he can play, so obviously his flute's working, whereas mine's not, so there you go. But to make up for it, unfortunately, his flute has a large split, like right down the entire middle of it now, because of the fact that it was thinner. And North American climate goes, go ahead, it kills bamboo. It's like North American climate is entirely racist towards other plants, apparently. But those were the biggest ones. The other big ones are just the size of my holes are massive by comparison to the flute. This one, it's all the same size. It's all in a straight line, more or less. But where it is, as far as the straight lineness, not so much. It's just my holes are all really rough cut. Like, this is my first time working with bamboo, and just the skin is an unbelievably tough material to work with. You always have to cut with the skin. If you cut against it at all, it just, bam, screws up the entire hole, because then you're having to try to carve that to make it smooth and stuff. And it was also one of my first times carving, with this kind of wood. And the knife slipped everywhere, and I did not want to spend a lot of time on this. So as a result, once I had the holes, I was perfectly content to just carve them any which old way. So maybe that has something to do with the sound of it too. In addition, look at the end of this. See how big the hole is? Here, let's see if we can get some light in there. Now, the size of the hole compared to the size of the walls of the bamboo, the thickness of the walls of the bamboo, mine, I could probably use this and whack somebody with it and hurt them. If I did that with this flute, I'd probably break the flute rather than the person. So I think that if I was going to build another flute, the first thing I would do is go straight back to step 1, pick a proper piece of bamboo. I have a feeling that the thickness of the wood made it hard to carve in the first place. So there's that. And we might have had to pick up an older piece of bamboo. I remember Nick telling me that he read up online, like the bamboo needs to be aged a lot longer than what we picked up. We picked up the bamboo that we had based on ease of getting it, the convenience, and the charitability of Mr. Pepper. So, if you're ever in the Windsor, Ontario area, make sure that you go and check out, Okame. It's an antique store. It's close to downtown. Go check it out. Free publicity. You're welcome, Mr. Pepper. But in all seriousness, he was incredibly kind to lend us his tools and his knowledge and everything. So, all kudos to him. But he just did not have the right bamboo for us in the end. Like, this looked good at first, but hindsight's 2020. We needed a bigger, older piece of bamboo, probably closer to the base of the bamboo stock, in order to actually get a working piece of bamboo to make our flutes sound better from the get-go. But yeah, so those are the big differences between the two flutes. Although, from an aesthetic point of view, I actually like how my flute looks better. It's glossier, it's shinier. I really like the wood color. So, from an aesthetic point of view, this would have been easier to do, probably. And, I found it was, because you're not working with black, which is, like, if you mess up with black, you're screwed. Like, anybody that's worked with miniatures or painting or restoration knows, like, you don't mess around with black. But, clear lacquer, I love the color of the wood, so... mine I find at least looks nicer, but this flute plays a lot better for a lot of reasons, and hindsight's 2020. At least next time if there is a next time, I'm not sure if I want to build another flute after this. Like, it was fun, but it was hard. If I build another flute, I know what I'm looking for, and I'd probably have to order the bamboo straight from Japan. I'd recommend that, actually, just so that way you get the right bamboo. And it's apparently expensive, but if you're building a flute, well, at least it's going to be cheaper than a Western flute most times than not. So, if you're looking for a home project and you want an instrument out of it, make sure that you do it right. The proper building materials make all the difference. So, that's all I got to say on that topic.